It's a Monday. That means Recovery Monday. Today, how does faith and sobriety work together?
I am redeemed. You set me free. So I'll shake off these heavy chains and wipe away every stain. Now I'm not who I used to be. I am redeemed.
All right, welcome. It is the very last day of March in the year 2014. It's also the last day of the first quarter of 2014. My, how time flies. Kind of amazing. This is Recovery Monday, brought to you by Powell CDC, where we talk about life's hurts, habits, and hangups, particularly those people that are in central Iowa here. Lila is a recovery specialist. Is that right? Counselor. So you're not a specialist, you're just a counselor?
No. Well, I'm both.
You're both. Okay.
No,
good.
really, I'm more of a counselor.
You're dual diagnosed. And usually on a day like today, we have a guest come in and tell their story. But I could lie to you and say that, that
I was the planned guest.
That you were the planned guest. There you go. Or we could say that the guest died of alcoholism yesterday. That wouldn't be very funny, though.
No.
But the truth of the matter is, for those of you that may or may not know, we had a major fire in downtown Des Moines over the weekend. A 9-story, 100-and-some-year-old historic building was literally crumbled in an overnight Friday night, Saturday morning fire. Our studios are in the building just to the east of that. We're probably not 50 yards from that building, are we? Maybe not even 50?
Yeah.
And so we assumed on Saturday, when we didn't know anything, that we wouldn't have access to our studios today. But we do. But Lila was a good person and let that person know that was going to be our guest, that we probably wouldn't have a show so they could make other plans. So we'll have her back some other time.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about how faith and sobriety go together. And I think we're going to have some differing, maybe not 180 degrees differing, but we're going to have some differing opinions on how different people think that should be approached. And you gave a presentation today to a school?
To the university here at Grandview.
Okay. And what was the topic?
It was how I use faith in my job. How does faith come in? I don't know.
In
a job as a counselor, how do I use faith?
Okay. So all right, go. All right, good. So how did you answer that?
Well, first of all, where I am today in my faith, God is like my best friend, so I have a constant conversation with him all day long. It's just like I'm taking him everywhere with me. And when I come across some very difficult things in some of my groups where people are talking about some heavy-duty things that have happened to them, and I haven't had that experience, or I don't know exactly what to say to them, I will just start talking to God and just say, help me come up with something to say that will help this person. And undoubtedly, every time, if I'm quiet for a while, something comes out of my mouth and I'm just in awe of what comes out of my mouth. And it's almost like I'm separated from my body. And it's like, I don't want to tell the people that, but it's like, this didn't come from me. I don't know where it came from. I mean, I do know that it came from God.
Right.
But it helps me.
And it's hard to explain to I don't know what you want to call them, non-believers, unbelievers. Mm-hmm. I want the kindest, most possible, gentlest phrase that could be. So that would be an unbeliever. Non-believer. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not even a non-believer. I mean, it could be a non-believer because they haven't been exposed. It's not that they chose to be a non-believer. They just haven't been exposed.
I find that hard to believe in 2014.
No,
so you're a non-believer.
Huh? Yeah. Well, I find that hard to believe in 2014 that an adult person of 18 years or older has not had exposure to the Gospels.
Oh, my gosh. Then
really?
No. There are so many people that haven't. I'm sponsoring someone right now that grew up in a family that never went to church. She doesn't even know what I'm talking about.
Even on television, there are a lot of people that will never watch any type of show where there's preaching or teaching or anything like that. They just won't watch it. Yeah. No interest.
I don't know. I'm not denying.
Right.
I mean, I believe you guys that you say that. I just find that I don't know what rock they live under.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, not everyone's seeking. Some people are satisfied with the answers they've gotten from their parents or from their upbringing, and that seems to work for them. So it's, they aren't seeking anything other than that. Or they may be seeking in another direction.
Yeah, that's probably more likely. They're seeking in another direction. Ryan, I sent you an image on Facebook private message. Can you grab that? And when you've got that ready to show, let me know. And, of course, it's very difficult in the 12-step program because, step 3 says that we will turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. And when Mary and Bob and I did a show with Dr. Hartwig some weeks ago, and we got to step 3, Hartwig, I mean, it was like you just put a brick wall in front of him. And he was not going to get past this God of my understanding. Because what if the God of your understanding is Satan? What if the God of your understanding is a doorknob? And Mary and I were trying to explain to Mike that, you got to have a little faith in this God you say you believe in. Right now, we're trying to get this person sober. And we even did a little role playing, If I was, if you were the drunk and you were trying to get sober and I said to you that you have to turn your life and your will over to God, you'd say what? Who's God?
Well, yeah.
And I'd say, well, my God, Jesus. And you're going to run, right?
I'd be out the door.
Yeah. In most cases, people run. What percentage of people, and I know this isn't going to be technical, but let's guess. What percentage of people that when they make their resentments, God is one of them? Is that 80%? 75%?
I wouldn't say that many, but there are a lot of them because they aren't understanding. They don't understand a relationship with God.
And so many times, the worst thing about Christianity are what? The Christians. Most of the time they're mad at a jerk like me who says the wrong thing in the name of God.
Well, there are people that are very condemning, so they're not showing the love of God.
Or judgmental, yeah.
Right. And so therefore, who wants that? Why do you want to go around feeling guilty because of who you are?
But I will also tell you that my years of experience behind a microphone tells me that there are people who look to be judged so they can play your judgmental card and they don't have to have the real conversation.
Sure.
And how do you deal with those people? I mean, they back you into a corner because you've judged them, because they've made you judge them. They've asked all the questions for you to lay judgment down on them. And then the minute you hit it, they go, well, see, you're just judging me. That's what you told me to do. You told me if I had one beer a week compared to a 12-pack a night, who's more likely to be the alcoholic? Well, it's the 12-pack a night. See, you're judging that how much I drink makes me an alcoholic. Well, it has a lot to do with it,
It's just the voice of experience. It's not a judgment.
Right. But you can't tell somebody that who doesn't want to have that tough conversation.
Sure, right. Yeah, any way to get out.
They just aren't ready yet. I believe that people need to be they have to hurt enough to hear, when they're in that place of judging or whatever, they have to hurt enough and want to hear something different to get out of that place. Otherwise, if life is working for them, why would they want to bring in something that would confuse that?
Well, they have to, and they have to be separated from their Creator far enough and long enough to where they have experienced what the darkness is like. Mm-hmm. If you're talking to somebody, Lila, and you say, God, I just don't know what to say here, just let the words come out. And by the end of the thing, you didn't say any of God's words. They were all your words. You're going to begin to wonder, hey, God, where were you in that? Mm-hmm. And then your lifestyle continues and things prevail and you keep going down the wrong track. And before you know it, there's not much light in your life at all.
By the time people get to treatment, they've pretty much left God behind. So when they get to treatment, we can't be talking about God right away.
Right.
Because they had to leave that God back when they first started doing things that it's hard to take God on a journey where you're using drugs and drinking. So it's easier just to leave him behind and go do what you want without feeling guilty or whatever.
Oh, okay, now let's unpack that for a minute, because I was a God guy, all right? And I was a big God guy. Bob, you knew me back then. I was a big God guy. But I never gave a thought to lying, cheating, and stealing. I never gave a thought to getting drunk. I wasn't a big drug guy, but, I'd smoke a doobie if somebody put one in front of me. But I was still a God guy. God was okay. Now, God was telling me that's not okay, but it was like I had this relationship with him, but that's okay. He's my God. He's my dad. It's unconditional. He's not gonna do anything bad to me because I'm not behaving in the way that I think God would want me to behave.
Sounds like you were playing God. You wanted to have God there on your terms.
Yeah.
Right. He had to fit your lifestyle.
Yeah, it had to fit. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It had to be okay. It had to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of, that's what that was the same with me, actually. It was like I always believed that there was a God, but, when I was drinking, I didn't take him along with me. And I don't know.
Well, he was the God that was only there if you really needed him, and if you really needed him and he didn't come through,
then you get mad.
Yeah, then you get mad at him and say, well, he doesn't care about me, he doesn't love me because I didn't get my way with him, and that's a cop-out too.
Or I'll tell you another way, is that something terrible happens and I don't blame God, but I think he's punishing me. And so now I take this wrath of this endless God, and as Lila said a minute ago, I make up in my own mind the severity of the punishment I'm going to get from God. Well, more than likely, my punishment's pretty bad, because I know deep down inside I was wrong, and I did a bad thing. So I'm going to get punished bad.
I think that depends on what kind of religion you were brought up in, because a lot of religions teach that you're going to be punished. And I grew up with a loving God.
What did you grow up with?
Congregational.
Okay, Plymouth, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you guys were very much a New Testament church.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm Episcopalian, law and the prophets. So yeah, my God's wrath was unlimited. As to what? And Jesus was just this guy on a cross that, if you added the ghost, there was a 3 thing, and we take his bread and wine, and that was just an excuse for me at 7 to drink wine. You know what I mean, though? I mean,
Yeah. He didn't really mean a whole lot to you.
God?
Yeah.
Well, he meant everything to me.
Well, everything within your own mind and your own thinking, not his. So it was your fleshly thinking and you putting him in a place where you wanted him.
But when I did something wrong, I felt guilty and thought I was going to have his wrath upon me.
Yeah, so what did you do about that if you felt guilty? Did you feel like you had to do something nice to make up for it?
Yeah.
But you didn't stop drinking and, for a long time.
No.
So you weren't really doing what,
Yeah, so it was the works that you figured, okay, I did something wrong. And in your own mind, you did something wrong, and therefore I'm going to be nice to somebody and it'll make up for it.
Sure.
Okay.
Penance. Isn't that what the Catholics teach?
Penance?
Three Hail Marys.
Sure.
Some time with in the box with the pastor. No, the priest.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Depending on what religion you grew up in,
Yeah.
will determine how you start thinking as an adult before you start.
And that's
finding
where
your own
everybody
path.
gets messed up.
Yeah.
So how do you approach someone who thinks God is dead, or God hates me, or God doesn't want to have anything to do with me, and yet that pain, that resentment, that fear of abandonment at the center of the drinking or the drugging. We'll talk about that when we come back. Lila, Bob, and me, along with Ryan and you here on KTIA, Iowa.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places, especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
All right, good afternoon. We are back on the 31st day of March in the Lord's year 2014. I'm J. Michael McCoy. This is Recovery Monday. And today we're tiptoeing around the very difficult subject of God and sobriety. Because if you don't think the two, what do you say to somebody, Lila, who would say, oh, there's no similarity between them? Why do you even put them together?
I have people, well, a lot of people that come in, I would say 90% of the people that come into treatment don't have a relationship with a higher power when they come in.
Okay.
And they don't really want one. So I'm starting from scratch with a lot of people, or a lot of people who have grown up in a religion that they just don't want that religion anymore. So what I do is have them, we come to an agreement that they have to be open and open to suggestions. They don't have to take the suggestions, but they do need to be open so that they can learn and move forward. And they can choose what they want to learn or what they're ready for. And for some people, I have to start as simple as not talking about a God, but just talking about an order in the universe. That there's an order in which things happen. And I'll start with just saying, spring is happening right now, right after winter, and we had nothing to do with that. So there's some power bigger than us in the universe. So we can call that power of God, or we can call it nature, we can call whatever, just so that they can start thinking about it in a different way, in the order in which things happen.
Now, what about, I know Peter Prentice, when he was living, was very involved in the recovery world. Was he an addict or an alcoholic?
You know, I wasn't there at that time. I know he was... I know that people gave him their 5th steps. That's about all I know.
Yeah, he was very... Okay. So then let me back up. Have you had devout Christians in counseling?
Oh, yeah.
So what's the difference in handling them compared to this person who has no concept?
They're just kind of one step ahead where they've got that working for them. They have some place to turn when things go bad. They have something to rely on, somebody to rely on. Where people that don't have God are trying to fix everything themselves.
All right, let's take the third party. Oh, they know God, and God knows them, and I don't want to have anything to do with that person. He's a jerk. He's a mean, bastardly God. Never did anything good for me. I don't want to have anything to do with him.
Okay, that comes up too. And a lot of that is the religion that they grew up in. A lot of it is, because there are some religions where it's a punishing God. And those people take a lot longer to find a loving God than others. But what I just have assignments where I have them listening in 12-step meetings to where they either hear God or they see God working in someone else's life. And do that repeatedly, week after week, so that they can see it working. I think sometimes you can see things in other people before you can see it in yourself. So if they're looking and they're listening to how God is working in other people's lives, then eventually they'll be able to see it in them. I also have people write a letter to themselves as though it's from God. And it really works if it's, even if they don't believe in a God. It's very interesting, because I've had people where they're just adamant about, I don't believe in God. I'll have them do that as an assignment, and all of a sudden it's very, very interesting.
It's a letter that God is writing to them?
Yes.
About them?
Yeah. Some of the best assignments I've had, the stuff that comes out of that.
That would be interesting. Mm-hmm. That would be, share with me what some of them say.
What it is doing is getting themselves, this letter gets them out of themselves so that they can see a bigger picture of the problem. They aren't so narrow-minded. And so when they know, for people that come from a loving God, the message is very loving, which they can't give themselves. They can't feed that to themselves. But as long as somebody, if God's telling me this, they know that that's the message. For people that don't have a God in their life, I wish I had a couple of them with me, because they were very interesting. They really do believe in God, even though they're saying they don't.
They believe in God, but they're saying they don't.
Yeah.
And they say they don't because? Because
it's threatening, I think, for them.
So if they admitted they believed in God, then there goes...
they may be a wuss, or they may be... They wouldn't know what they would stand for. I don't know. There's all kinds of reasons.
So I don't ever remember a day that I was separated from God. I just don't remember. In my worst of times, when I created the mess, I was never mad at God. I was always mad at somebody else. And very rarely myself.
Okay, tell me this. If one of your kids was killed today, what would you think?
I've thought about that. Here's the answer to that. Are they saved or not? Because I've got 4 kids, and they're not all saved.
Yeah.
If one of my kids who died, who was saved, I'd be praising God that, she's with him, and thanking him for taking her in and taking care of her for the 40 years that we had her. And promising God I'll do everything I can with her children, and I'd be sad for my wife because she'd miss her, and there'd be a void in my wife's life, and there'd be a void in my life. But I wouldn't look at God and say, why did you take my child? Because I know he didn't.
Right.
And for the ones that isn't saved, God, thanks for, coming alongside of me and doing all I could to try to get my kids in your arms, and I'll leave it up to you. But if I didn't do a good enough job, then help me to come alongside maybe somebody else's children who are also messing it up with the God thing, and maybe I can help. Maybe I can help Lila and Jim or Bob and his wife or somebody else to say to an adult child, I lost one of my children in a tragedy, and I don't know where they went. And your mom and dad are facing the very same thing. And do you really want to do that to them? Because let me tell you what it did to me. But I would never be mad at God. I've even gone to the point where I say, God takes my wife. Because I don't know whether I am the ultimate kitty-whipped husband or whatever I am. But and you guys all know that, I just love my wife. Mm-hmm. I adore her. She is my princess. And I treat her that way. And if she were to go before I do, I just don't think I'd be mad at God. I think I'd praise him for the years that he gave me an opportunity to know her. I got a little mad at God when we got Obama elected, but
Well, I'll tell you, as a child, in my family, my mother was the one with the faith. My father was a doctor, and so he was very scientific. And it wasn't until the last, I would say, 10 years that I met people that were scientific that believed in God. So I think I was just always looking for people that were scientific, that they saw things black and white. I have since met a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
But so growing up, my mother was killed when I was 12. So there goes my faith. So when I needed help in knowing how to deal with my mother dying, there wasn't anyone around to help me with that. So I can remember typing on a typewriter. It shows you how old I am, but typing on a typewriter, I hate God.
Really?
Because that was the only thing I knew that caused this accident. And then my grandmother helped me. I don't know if she read that or whatever, but she really helped me after that. And she was Catholic and was very religious and helped me through that.
Your mom's mom or your dad's mom?
My dad's mom.
Where was your mom's mom?
She lived in our house, but I never knew her to go to church, and I never knew her to talk religion, never.
Okay. How was your mom killed?
My parents went to Mexico on a vacation, and a teenage boy stole a car and hit my mother and another lady and killed them both. It was one of those things that happens to people in the newspaper, but would never happen to me. So that's why the reality, I've talked on here before about being scared to death, my kids are going to be killed or something's going to happen, because it's real to me. These things happen.
Yeah, you do get that phone call in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
The worst thing possible has happened.
Yeah.
Lila Stafford, a counselor, drug addiction counselor at Powell CDC, in with us today, along with Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. Ryan, of course, our producer, and I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. You can find all of our previously recorded programs over the last year if you go to MacMcCoy, MacMcKoy.com, and then hit shows, and all the different shows that we do here will pop up, and just hit Recovery Monday, and there they are from week 47, 48.
Recovery Mondays?
Yeah, what week is this?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't.
Well, you keep track of that stuff.
I haven't been.
Anyway, the last year's worth of shows, and they'll be there. And the thing to remember is that, Des Moines is a lot of things. Des Moines is a city that has a AAA baseball club. Des Moines is a community that has one of the largest John Deere and Firestone plants in the world. Des Moines is a place where the insurance calls the second largest city in the world, next to Hartford, Connecticut. Des Moines is a place where two rivers meet. Des Moines is a place where almost every show that plays on Broadway comes to our Civic Center. But Des Moines is also a place with a top-notch treatment center for drugs and alcohol, and that's called Powell. And it comes from a long line of Powells. Powell was named after Watson Powell Jr.'s grandpa or his dad?
His dad.
And Watson Powell has now passed, but he created American Republic Insurance and was one of the first guys to help pioneer insurance in this country, in this city, I'm sorry. And his father gave the money to, at the time was Lutheran Hospital, to start a drug and alcohol dependency.
Actually, it started at Methodist, and it was he gave the money in honor of his wife, Helen.
All right.
And it used to be it was part of, it was the Powell unit over at Methodist.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know how many years ago it switched over to
Well, probably
Lutheran.
when Lutheran and Methodist became owned by the same
that could
people.
be. Yeah.
So we're really lucky to have that here in Des Moines. There's a lot of great things about living here, but we've got a wonderful treatment center that people are your neighbors who work there. People who work there go to church with you. People who work there are your teachers, are your Sunday school teachers, are your classmates. They're the people you run into at Come and Go, and they know life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups. So be thankful, if I may be so bold, as for people like Lila and those people that have committed their lives and careers to helping other people, because alcoholism specifically is a deadly disease. There's no way that I could ever prove this to you, but there's not a week that goes by that you don't read the obituaries in the back of the Des Moines Register, and somebody died of this, or somebody died of that, or they died suddenly, or after a long illness. There's never a week goes by that somebody didn't die from this disease of alcoholism. And now, with the abuse of prescription drugs, it's getting right back into our kids. So, why do we do this program? We do it so you'll understand life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups through the eyes of the victims, not the codependents, not the enablers, but the victims. When we come back, you tell me, does salvation come before sobriety? It's a new Macism. It's next, live on KTIA.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
First day of March, last day of the first quarter of the year 2014. We are about 11 days into spring, and today it feels like it, but as the temperatures drop in the next couple of days, we're going to have that four-letter word on the ground again. And so hang with it. I have a birthday in the middle of April, and I can tell you that half the time my birthday is white and half the time it's not. So
I hope for rain. I hope for that four-letter word.
Yeah, well, we got rain today. We got some rain today. We'll get more. It'll get all cleaned off. God always provides. You know, we always get freaked out, including myself. I mean, I went out this morning, took up the garage door, and I felt that warm air. And I don't like warm air. So I thought, oh, here we go again. And, you know, now I'm going to suffer, and then I'll wait for that day that I open up the garage door and that cool air comes in, and I'll say, oh, that's good. But
it's just the opposite for me.
Yeah, I know. You love the sun. Now, you know, you've talked... And I've talked, Lila, from personal experience. You've talked from your years of counseling and helping with people, but we forget sometimes that we have a, I don't want to overplay it, but you're a big-time, you're hired by cases that involve alcohol to testify in courts of law.
Well, I do that for the state for the most part, occasionally on civil.
Okay. And you've studied alcohol and the effects it has on people for 30 years?
Yes.
Okay. And so tell us from your perspective in the laboratory, because you're dealing with all these crimes and horrific events that involve alcohol.
Yeah, that's correct. I've been doing alcohol analysis for years and years through breath testing and blood alcohol analysis. I do mostly blood alcohol analysis, so I get to see cases that come across my desk all the time. And I see personal injury accidents, I see single vehicle crashes, I see death, fatalities, and I see sexual assaults. And so they come, I do the analysis on the blood, and I usually find alcohol, and and I see a lot of high levels of alcohol. And I've had alcohols that have been in excess of 400.
40% of the body, the blood is alcohol.
Well, no, not that much, because it's just a 0.4 is 400, and 500 is normally fatal for people.
Yeah.
And so you see people that have serious problems with alcohol, but most of the crime that we see, alcohol is involved or other drugs. And so for me, it's just a daily thing, and I get tired of seeing that. I'm never going to be put out of business, as far as that is concerned. And so when I go shopping, and I go shopping at the stores on weekends, I walk by and I see aisles and aisles and aisles and aisles of booze, just because it's big profit. And it bugs me, because I know the hurt, the pain, the agony of people that consume that. Sure, there are a lot of people that aren't alcoholics, but everything that I see, alcohol is involved almost all the time.
All right, so do me a favor, and we haven't talked about this before, so if you can't talk about this, I respect you, but weigh in on this whole legalization of marijuana issue. Do you see that as just, there's the other shoe, or is there a difference between what happens in the world with consumption of alcohol compared to marijuana?
Well, when we were doing looking for THC in blood, which we're getting back into that again, we did it at one time years ago here, we were seeing 35 to 40% of the people that had alcohol also had THC in their system.
Okay.
Already, and that was years ago. I believe that eventually it's gonna go across the country. Once it starts, the states will legalize it. People will hold out as long as they can. When that happens, we have to treat it very similar to alcohol, meaning that we'll have it per se level in the blood.
But how can that be measured at the side of a car, like with a blow and go?
You won't. You'll have to get a blood sample, and then we would do the analysis on the blood. And if it's in the blood, then it's affecting the brain.
All right, now let me just walk through this with you. Will technology somehow find a deal where, like, a diabetic just pricks themselves and they automatically know what their blood sugar is?
Yes.
Will there be something where you prick yourself and we know what the THC level is in the blood?
Probably that would be developed.
Okay.
You can, possibly even saliva. They do testing on that for drugs. And so, yeah, I could see that. Just like the rapid DNA that they do.
Yeah.
Things that we felt like couldn't be done, they're moving in that direction. So, but the problem is, even with THC, and I know a lot of people are for, legalization for recreational use, we still have to come up with a level that people cannot operate a motor vehicle at that certain level. Matter of fact, Colorado has that. It's 5 nanograms within the blood.
Hold on. 5 nanograms?
Yeah. It's
in your blood of THC.
Yeah, it's very low level. But, I mean, it's a level that we can detect with our instrumentation. But that's the level that they drew, saying, just like our 0.08. And we keep continuing wanting to lower that. It's recommended we go to 0.05. That's already come out already.
What do those numbers mean?
That is an amount of alcohol that we can detect in the blood. And you can estimate and calculate if a person, let's say a 160-pound person, if they had the equivalent of 5 drinks in their system, like 5 beers or 5 shots of whiskey or 5 glasses of wine, all contain the same amount of alcohol. For a 160-pound male, that would put him at a 0.100 level.
It matters how long it took him to drink that.
Yes, it does, because the person will burn off 1 drink per hour. 1 drink per hour.
No matter how big.
Right. Your liver just metabolizes it.
So that doesn't have any difference. That doesn't make any difference how tall you are or big you are. Everybody's body does that pretty much the same.
Right. Well, the more weight you have, the more alcohol you can add to your system to get to that 1.0 level, let's say. Mm-hmm. So a person that weighs 100 pounds would have to consume half the amount that a 200-pound person to get to the same level. Okay.
And the 0.08 is 8% of your blood is alcohol?
No, we don't say a percentage anymore. We used to say 0.08%. So it's 0.08 grams of alcohol per 200 or per 100 milliliters of blood. So we take a portion of blood.
That's 8%.
Well, but we don't in this state and in most states we don't give a percentage anymore. They changed that because there's always defense attorneys that try to prove we are incompetent of what we're doing to get their client off.
Okay.
So that's why I have to go to court to defend the work that we do.
Whoa.
Because they're trying to convince the jury that we don't know what we're doing, we make mistakes, we are anti-alcoholics and so forth. And so we're accused of these things, and the jury generally doesn't believe that.
So is Lila and my acceptance of someone who's an alcoholic on a scale of 1 to 10 is an 11, right? We welcome them. We go to them. We do what we can to help them. Mm-hmm. What's yours? Are you the opposite? When you see somebody who's a foolish drunk wasting their life away and doing stupid things that could endanger people, does that infuriate you?
Well, when I used to do crime scene investigations, when I see children that are battered or murdered, and from an alcoholic parent or person that was under the influence, it's such a waste, of a life. It's more of a sadness that comes upon me because, how do you stop this? And we're trying everything to stop these kind of things, and we can't, because people are going to be the way they are. And yeah, it's depressing in that sense. And I get to a point where I see these cases and I see fatality, sexual assault. I mean,
but we'll never get rid of alcohol.
No, I mean, they try to do that, prohibition.
Right.
But yeah, sure, just like marijuana.
It's too easy to make in the bathtub. They didn't call it for bathtub gin for nothing.
Right. Yeah, it's always going to be there. So it's a behavior. It's something that people do just because they want to. As we were talking before, there's a void they want to fill, and they fill it with whatever thing is.
Today, every time, I have people ask me this all the time. Do I want people to drink alcohol or smoke marijuana? It's always their question to me. And it's like, my answer is, and this happened today when I went to the university, it's like, I would like people to know how to do life on life's terms without anything.
Right.
You know, you have the holes in your heart. Let's get them filled some other way other than
alcohol, drugs, anger, food.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, I promise you that new Macism, boom, it's on the way. It's next, live here on KTIA, Iowa.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
All right, 10 before the top, Salem Radio Network News, and then, of course, True Blue with Michael Mudloff here on KTIA. Macisms, if you've listened to me for a long time or any period of time, you know that I have these little Macisms. And used to be, I just had them on a sheet of paper, and when I was a country disc jockey, I would end each show with a Macism. And people would want copies of them, and so I can remember the days. I remember when fax machines came in, and that was a big deal, because I could now fax people a sheet of Macisms. And for those of you that know, about 15 years ago, I started producing a 6-page business card. And the only thing that has anything to do with me is really right here, and it's got, what's the latest one have? 34, the 34 Macisms. And none of these have ever changed, with the exception of one, throughout all the years. And before Jesus mugged me, my favorite Macism was number 3. Coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. And then after Jesus mugged me, my good friend Davy Bloom reminded me that Jesus never wanted to be anonymous. He wanted to be in your face. So number 3 was changed to coincidence is God's way of revealing himself. Well, given some of the conversations that I've had in the last few months with Mary and you and some other people on the national as well as the local show about that step number 3 in the 12 steps of a 12-step program. And step 3 is to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, ... as we understand them. And many good friends of mine who are Jesus freaks like I am just thinks that's blasphemy. That we would allow someone who is at the lowest point in their life to choose the God as they understand him. It is that time when God needs to be truly defined so they don't take a step in the wrong direction. And even though that all sounds good and well, what, Lila? It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. I'm sorry. I've been hanging around for 1,422 days, and I have yet to see that work. I have, however, had people come up to me after meetings and say, what's this God stuff? I just want to quit drinking. My boss told me, my wife told me, I got in trouble with the law. I'm going to get thrown out of my house, my life, my kid's life if I don't quit drinking. I don't need any more religion, quote unquote, in my life. And I should have had a mute button the first year or so. Now I figured it out. I figured it out. Because if I say to a drunk, you have to turn your will and your life over to God, and the drunk says, who's God? And I say, well, my God, I can't watch them fast enough to run out the door. They're gone. So, in the light of this, I have created a new Macism, and we're going to put it up here on the screen for those of you that are visualizing this. Lucinda Sperry, my wonderful graphic artist who just does everything for me, did all of this for me. And the new Macism is easy. The only place where salvation comes before sobriety is in the dictionary.
Oh, I like that.
You can't get salvation as a drunk. Now, I bet my phones could light up all day long, and everybody's going to tell me stories about their papa or their mama or themselves, how they love Jesus and they went to church every week, but daddy just downed a liter of gin every night while he said his prayers. I don't know if they had salvation. Not mine to judge. But I do know that people who think you need to find Jesus first and then get sober are wrong. Dead wrong. So, the only place you're going to find salvation comes before sobriety, because of the way it's spelled, is in the dictionary. Now, here's the great thing. And we've all experienced this. When you turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand him, there's a little bell that rings in heaven, and God knows you're just about to turn your life over to him. He doesn't know what you're going to call him yet. Will it be Allah? Will it be Father? Will it be Lord? Will it be Jesus? He doesn't know how long it's going to take, because the accuser's got a hold of you, and he's going to try to keep you in the midst of what's going on in your life, which isn't good for you or anybody else. But God has a plan. He's a sovereign God. He knows. He can count every hair on your head, and he knew you before you were ever in the womb. He knows the day and time when you'll drop to a knee and accept him as your Lord and Savior. So if you're mad and angry in the midst of an alcoholic disease or a drug-abusing disease or food disease or sexual integrity disease, just turn your life and will over to the care of a God as you understand him. Just make it how you understand him. Mm-hmm. And the Holy Spirit will probably sneak up on you one day, and then you'll have what's called salvation. So, what would you add to that?
Well, I'm just really glad that in the 12-step program, they have those words, the God of my understanding.
Me too.
Because at the beginning, I really, I knew there was a God, but I didn't have a relationship with him. So we also have a saying, you have to surrender, and you have to give my will and life over to that God. And it was like, well, how can I do that if I don't know who it is? So I think I've said this on here before, but I can remember praying. Well, my husband got a sponsor that I didn't like, and the counselor said, you need to turn, and I was griping about it, and this guy's going to ruin our life. She said, you have to turn this over to God. And I'm thinking, I can't turn it over to God. What my words were, no, this is real. And so to find out what your faith is, you really have to test it. I mean, you have to use it. So I could talk religion all I want, but now I have to use that. I really have to believe that if I turn this over, something's going to happen. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, it really is the ultimate trust of God.
Yeah.
Here we come down to the one thing that you've been controlling for as long as you know, that's your drinking. Your secrets have kept you sick. You've kept it away from people. It's ruined relationships. It's created bad relationships. And you just want to huddle around this thing in your own little Easter basket and don't let anybody else in. But there's only one left to let in.
Well, and I was trying, my husband and I were both alcoholics, and I quit myself. There was no problem, but I was trying to control not only his drinking, but his recovery and who he had chosen as a sponsor even. So when I was told that I had to turn this over, it was very frightening. And my prayer was, okay, God, I really don't know who you are, but I'm going to turn this over to you and see how you do. And if you do okay, I'll give you some more later. And I really meant that. And that's really how I talked to him, because I didn't really have a relationship.
But you did.
Well, I did, in the sense that I could talk to him like that and trust that, I didn't really trust. It was like, I'm going to see if I can trust you.
Right. Did he do okay?
Oh, he did fantastic. And it was exactly what my husband needed. But it wasn't on my timetable.
Yeah, well, our time is not God's time. Let's face that. All right, Ryan's got the piano playing there by Tammy Bixby, and she did a great job doing that music for us. We'll see you next Monday here on Recovery Monday. Tomorrow, a special edition of The View from a Pew, a pastor you've never met yet, and I hope you'll like him. That's tomorrow. Now, as long as Lent goes on, I've always asked you to pray at the end of my programs, but while Lent is happening, I'm asking you to pray for someone that you can't forgive. Today, pray for them, please.